Describe your academic priorities with particular attention to both the achievement gap and the high performance expectations of the community, especially parents.
The school system when I joined the board. It was to educate every child to their potential. It was about their individual potential. Somewhere along the way, some of my fellow members of the board changed that a little bit. But it was so compelling because it said two things. It said we were striving for achievement, but that we were going to consider each child individually. And that has always governed how I've thought about achievement within the board. I think my priorities going forward are reflective in really two things. One is the enormous achievement gap that we have, particularly for kids at the lower end of the achievement in the system. The board, in the years that I've been there, have spent a lot of time talking about it, occasionally put in programs for it, but we haven't focused on it with the laser sharpness that I hope the new board would actually take on. We need to close that gap, and it's not just one of children who are minority or poverty. When you go actually look at the data, it's a broad-based problem. I think the second thing is the goals that the board has already set. We've set very aggressive goals in reading, writing, and math, and I would focus the next board, hopefully, as well as the administration, on programs that laser focus to achieve those goals in third grade for reading, in middle school for math, and in high school for writing.
Thank you very much, Ms. Eppelbaum. And if anybody needs...
I believe that every one of our students, whether struggling, in the middle, or advanced, must be prepared to live, work, and function in a world of rapid, exponential change that is driven by 21st century technologies. We've had an over-reliance on tests and testing that have come as a result of national mandates, but they are not a replacement for real learning and teaching, and it is not a pathway for success. The key is to how to identify how to ensure achievement for all students, and it requires us to ask new questions, tough questions, and challenge the status quo. In order to do that, I think we need, one, consistency and leadership. And by that, that's not a rubber stamp, but it is a set where we're not going to take our eye off the ball. We're not going to have consistently changing agendas. We're not going to provide our staff and our parents with whiplash as we change curriculums and priorities and things like that. We need to make better use of data. We have a lot. We need to ask good questions so that we can use it to our advantage. We need to work with the digital learning program that we're embarking on, but carefully evaluating its benefits and making sure we're putting it in the right fashion. We need to focus on the success skills, specifically for closing the gap. The smaller it is at the start, the faster we will close it. But what makes our most successful students successful?
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Baldunas?
We need to start in kindergarten and particularly through third grade, making sure that our students have the proper foundation in arithmetic, in spelling, in writing, in reading, in grammar, punctuation, so that as they go through their career, through high school and on, they have the foundational skills that they need to be successful. Right now, I don't believe we are accomplishing that. We need to focus on that. Peter said laser focus, that's an excellent term. We have gaps in our district across subgroups. All the students are not getting those foundational skills. Some parents can deal with that by having tutors. Some can afford to spend the time. Some cannot. We need to build the discipline within our schools, the services within our schools that will allow us to bring that gap down by having the students who are struggling get the extra help that they need, whether it's after school, during school, or during school.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Bernstein?
Schools equals high property values, and we should have high expectations for our students. We need to deliver on that and make sustainable achievement our #1 priority. We need to raise achievements for students at all levels and ensure learning is consistent across all of our elementary, middle, and throughout the high school. This means making sure that students are appropriately challenged and supported. Teachers struggle when they need to teach a wide range of learners. We need to make sure that we shrink the gap to aid all learners. In terms of the achievement gap, we need to focus on core areas, as Brian said, back to the basics. We need to start sooner. As soon as students enter the district, whether it's pre-K or at a later grade, we cannot wait until the testing years of 3rd grade. For all of our students, we need to ensure that programs are consistently deployed across the district and from classroom to classroom. We need to use multiple measures and analytics to target students needing attention. We need to make sure that best practices are shared across our schools and that resources are appropriately deployed. Finally, there needs to be a dramatic increase in parent-teacher interaction. One parent-teacher conference a year is not enough. We need regular communications and outreach to help drive parent involvement and raise student achievement.
Thank you. Ms. Tam?
Thank you. One very effective and proven way to solve the achievement gap is by the earliest pre-K that we can afford to have in our town. Right now, we have only 150 places in our public schools for pre-K, and they're not within the schools they should be. It should be available to more students than it is. And there are only 34 places in Head Start in Greenwich, which is so inadequate. If you start at pre-K, that is the most important time for learning. 0 to 6, the brain is forming, it's flexible, it's taking in knowledge of the entire world. Everything can be taken in. It doesn't discriminate that this is arithmetic, this is reading, this is writing. It absorbs everything. If we don't jump on this time of our children's life, it's very unfortunate. And we need to focus on that. And we need to have that as our academic priority, because everything follows. Our life follows. Each year follows the next, and we need to have learners for life.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Erickson?
Yes, thank you. I think all of the candidates have brought up some really excellent points. I guess I would just say that parents have high expectations of the district. The board has high expectations of its leadership team and of the teaching staff. And we all have high expectations of our students. And I think more often than not, when we issue students a challenge, they rise to it. We have numerous examples of pockets of excellence in this district, ranging from our excellent ALP program to the students who are receiving special services, to a wide variety of teaching and learning that goes on each and every day in our building. At the end of the day, I think it boils down to the high expectations, the quality teaching staff, which we do have, the rigor of our curriculum, which we're improving all the time, and engaged parents. And I think we do have engaged parents, and I agree with Mr. Bernstein that we can do more to improve the home-school connection. Just going back to one of the board goals, there are 3 of them. I'm just going to touch on one of them, the 8th grade reading goal. By the end of 8th grade, we want 87% of our 8th graders to be reading at the CMT goal level. And that kind of masks some disparities, and I think we need to be careful. The truth of the matter is one of our middle schools is already performing at that level, and there are a couple, one very close to that level, and the third is well behind that goal. So we really need to target our resources where the needs are. And I would urge the board to look for actual plans and monitoring reports to figure out how we're going to get from where we are to where we need to be.
Thank you very much.